Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Miguel back again with another video, and today I have a interesting one. I was finally able to get my hands on the MacBook Air. This is the new 2022 with the M2 chip. So what I'm gonna do is just do a quick overall review, and I'm gonna slightly compare it with last year's M1 MacBook Air, which I also have. This is actually my own daily driver. So I'm actually going to be doing kind of like a comparison, seeing what the difference is, overall the design difference, and also talking a little bit about the performance and how much faster or how much better the M2 actually is. We have 8 gigs of RAM with unified memory. We have 256 gigs of internal SSD storage. The M1 that I have here is also exactly with the same spec, so it also has 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of SSD storage. And by unified memory, it means that the RAM can actually swap a little bit of memory from the SSD in case it needs it. We have 8 cores CPU and 8 cores of GPU. For comparison's sake, the M1 has 8 cores of CPU, but it has 7 cores of GPU performance. We also have a 13.6-inch diagonal display. The same display, same size, everything. The only difference in the display this time here is that the MacBook Air M2 has a liquid retina display, and this one only has a regular retina display. Okay, so let's go ahead and unbox this real quick and see what we have. Okay, all right. So we have our device here on top, and let's quickly go into the box. So we have this braided cable this time. So it is a USB-C to, this is a MagSafe. So this time the MacBook M2 has MagSafe. This is a new introduction. So we also have the booklet here, which includes, for the first time, where are they? Yeah, this first time that I've seen stickers that come in this midnight color, exactly the color that we have on the MacBook Air. And finally, we also have a 30-watt fast charger, which is exactly the same one that we have here. This is my charger for my M1, is the exact same, and it also is a USB-C 30-watt power adapter. Now, looking into the actual device, I'm excited about the color because this is probably the best color that Apple has when it comes to the most of its devices. This is I actually have the blue iPhone, the 12 Pro, so it kind of matches that as well. And yeah, so this is a bluish color, and even though the color is midnight, it kind of replaces. It doesn't replace space gray, but it's meant to be kind of like a really dark color. But depending on how you look at it, in different lightings, it can look like a really blue color. Like for example here, you can see that you see that blue tone. In more darker areas, it kind of looks like a matte black as well. And one thing that I noticed immediately is that this is a fingerprint magnet. I mean, even though it is a matte finish, but there are fingerprints everywhere, which is something that I really don't like at all. Overall, the design, it's a more flat design this time, so even the bottom is straight. So if we look at the MacBook M1 here, you may be able to see that the M1 actually has kind of like a wedge. It is a thinner design in my opinion. The M2 is also not thick at all, but the bottom was kept straight this time. When we look at the display, that's where we actually have a massive difference. So one of the things that I really hated about my laptop, so every aspect of this is pretty good except the bezels. The bezels were something that really bothered me because this is a really old design. We've seen this design for years now, and I'm glad to report that on the M2 we actually have thinner bezels, but we do have this notch, which a lot of people hated in the beginning. And the reason why a lot of people hate it is because you would normally have a notch if you wanted to have Face ID. If it had Face ID, perfectly fine, but this does not have Face ID. So the notch is something that people say could have been avoided and was just one of the most Apple things to do. I actually did a video of why the notch was added. If you want to go watch that, you can. But yes, we do have a notch this time, but the good part is that we do have thinner bezels, which is a win-win in my situation. I really don't care about the notch that much. It's a big improvement from last year's MacBook Air. There's also one big difference here. This time we have the availability of a MagSafe charger apart from 2 USB-C ports, but one of them is Lightning port. On the M1, you only have two lightning ports, and one is used for charging. So if one of them is busy, you're not going to be able to use the other one. We also have the headphone jack here on the left side. Same thing with the M2. We have the same headphone jack here. Now, talking about the performance, now the M1 chip was already a really good chip on its own. It was in a way a revolutionary chip, and Apple's own SoC. On laptops. It was the first time that we actually saw this happening, and they broke almost all records. I mean, no one could actually get near to them, and even the remaining of the M chip lineup, the Ultra and the Pro, I mean, there's something that we've actually never seen before. Now, the M1 chip, as I mentioned, was I've been using this as my daily driver. I edit all my videos on this. I've never found any issue with it. Even, I mean, there has never been thermal throttling. I haven't really pushed it to the limit, but I've never faced an issue where I actually had to put it down or I had to close it down because it was heating too much. Then we have the M2 chip, which is much more faster than the M1 chip. I should mention here that the M1 laptop right now, it is currently available at 4,199, so 4,200 dirhams on the Apple Store, while the M2 is available for 4,999, so 5,000 dirhams. There is an 800 dirham difference here, but the question is it worth spending that 800 dirhams more to get a little bit of a better performance and a better display? Yes, it is redesigned as well, but I've had feedback from people saying that they still like the old design because this is I mean, it's a perfect size. I'm not going to say it's thick, but people really like the old design much better, and it is actually a little bit thinner, so maybe that has to do with it. Weight-wise, they're not really that much difference. They're around the exact same weight. I don't see any difference in that. But when it comes to performance, the big question is, should you spend the 800 dirhams and just go ahead and get the M2 chip? So let's actually discuss some of the numbers here. The M2 has about 18% faster CPU performance. Another thing is that they also use a little bit of lesser energy. So when it comes to the battery, I was regularly able to put out around 15 to 16 hours a day on my M1, and that's just simple browsing, light video editing, and just everyday use. Nothing, no gaming, no performance oriented usage. The M2 actually can also give you around the same, so nearly about 19 to 20 hours if you want to push it out. So 15 hours every day of usage with this. At the end of the day, you're still going to have around 20% of battery left. So the M2 not only means a better performance, but also it's actually more efficient when it comes to the battery life. We actually did a Geekbench test, and I'm going to put up the numbers here, which will tell you how much faster the M2 is compared to the M1. When it comes to the GPU, the M2 has 10 GPU cores, which offers 35% more powerful GPU than the M1. And based on benchmarks, the base model of the M2 Air has a slightly lesser GPU with only 8 GPU cores. So performance-wise, the M1 obviously, especially in the GPU, is a little bit, it has more of a difference as compared to the CPU. And doing a Geekbench 5 compute test on the 10-core GPU on the MacBook Air, this model was almost 60% faster than the 7-core M1 MacBook Air. If you are in the market to buy a laptop, and even if it's a beginner, this is considered one of the cheapest laptops from Apple. This is the 8 GB version with 256. I should mention that the M1 and the M2 have the same starting point, so they both come with 8 gigs and 256 gigs of internal storage as the base models. If you want to get into a base model, I would highly recommend the M2. So the M chips overall are great performing chips. If you are looking to the market, I believe yes, 800 dirhams more is absolutely worth it. I 100% would recommend it. So anyways, guys, that was just a quick review, a quick comparison between these two. Wanted to see how it actually stands with the M1 chip. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Peace out.